Hey guys, what's up, and welcome to this video. The Steelers season is officially over, as is the Miami Dolphins. Their season was kind of over quite a while ago, but they still had games to play. But since the regular season is officially over, we know some more details about the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade. So, this man right here, that is Minkah Fitzpatrick. He is a safety, a free safety to be exact, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, he is only in his second year in the league, but he did not get drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was traded for by the Steelers. Let me see if I can get this exactly where it needs to be. Okay, and there you go. So the Steelers traded for Minkah after Ben Roethlisberger was lost for the season. And Minkah here, the trade, he was the 11th overall pick in the 2018 draft. Very high pick out of Alabama. The Dolphins used him all over the field. Corner, safety, linebacker, everywhere. Steelers traded for him and said, "You play safety. Go." And Minkah had a hell of a season. His season was so good, he earned, it was just announced today, first team All-Pro. Like a lot of people say Pro Bowl, that's a good honor. That's a nice honor. It really is. But that's, a little more fan popularity. He got first team All-Pro. Now, I did a video when this trade happened, and I said, who won the trade? Minkah really hadn't done anything. I don't even know if he had played in his first game. But I covered it. I said, this is this is that. This is what Madden would have approved of in a trade for Minkah. Who won? But now that we know what Minkah did this year, we know what impact he had on the Steelers this year, what impacts he had by leaving the Dolphins, what, the draft picks. It was, what exact picks did they give up? They didn't know what they gave up when they traded for Minkah. It's just now, what did they give up? So, that's what we're going to do. We're going to see what exactly the Steelers gave up and, what that pick turned into. Now, the big pick, there was some, smaller, later picks that got exchanged. There was a fourth sent to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh sent a fifth, and a seventh was sent to Pittsburgh, and a sixth was sent to Miami. Now, that sixth and seventh, that is not part of the 2020 draft. That is part of the 2021 draft. So we don't know what those are, and we're not going to know what they are for another year. We are not going to know those exact drafts position picks for another year because they're for the 2021 draft. They're not for this upcoming draft. We know the first round pick, and then we know the fourth and fifth. We know all that stuff. Though a fourth and a fifth, that's, not that important, so I'm not going to cover those. I'm going to cover the big one, the first round pick that was given up. So Minkah, he played really good, and people thought he kind of dropped off the radar a little bit at some point during the season, because all you heard was Minkah, 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 Minkah. Play here by Minkah, play there, pick six, interception, fumble recovery, forced fumble. It was all over. Why did he disappear? Because people stopped going to his side. He was making so many plays. It was just, Minkah's there? I'm throwing there. It's, Minkah's this way? Yeah, we're going that way with the ball. If Minkah's this way, we're going that way. If Minkah's that way, we're going this way. Wherever Minkah is, go in the literal exact opposite direction. So you don't have to have stats upon stats upon stats to to be considered, having an impact. Let's say you're a shutdown corner. You have zero pass defense, pass breakups. You have all this different, like no tackles. It's like, okay, what happened? He may have, no touchdowns, all that different stuff. Like, you may have literally just not allowed any throws your way. Any throw, they weren't throwing your way at all, which is completely possible, but not likely. They're going to target you sometimes. But sometimes having a 0 in a certain stat is a good thing. Like, let's say you had 0 picks. Is that a good thing? Or were you just that much of a lockdown corner? So, but that's why his stats kind of quieted, were less impressive as the season went on. People just stopped throwing over to him. So, I think the biggest game I can remember him having is the game against his former team, against the Dolphins. Now, before he got traded, I wasn't sure if the Dolphins were going to trade him to the Steelers because they played later in the year. I'm like, are you really about to trade him to a team you're going to face in 6 weeks? Give or take. Are you really going to do that? But in Miami's mind, Pittsburgh was a really bad team without Ben this year, and they would probably get the highest bang for your buck, the highest pick out of all the teams trying to trade for him. So they sent him to Pittsburgh. So let me close this and we will go over the trade. So this article is from September when he got traded. So it says, Minkah Fitzpatrick has had his wish granted. So he was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers along with a 2020 4th and a 2021 7th in exchange for a first, a 5th in 2020, and a 2021 6th. So I'm not going to cover the 6th and the 7th because we don't know what those are. And the 4th and the 5th, they just aren't early enough. If they were like a 2nd or something, I would. So that 2020 first round pick, what became of that? So that has turned into the 18th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. So, pick number 18. Okay. Is that good? Is that bad? Well, for the play you got, because you just got a first-team All-Pro safety and a Pro Bowler, I would say that's pretty good. All right, so the question is, would you get that same talent of player at the 18th pick? The answer? Probably not. So, who are some notable mid to late rounders that, the Steelers could have drafted had they not traded for Minkah? And let's say magically they end up with the 18th pick. I think if they don't draft Minkah, they end up in the top 10. But let's say, you draft Minkah. Okay. Or, you don't have Minkah. You didn't have Minkah, but you're at the 18th pick. Magic. Who would you draft? What position seems important? Are you just going to draft a safety anyway? Minkah only just played his 2nd year in the league. It's not like he's old. He's cheap for the next 2 years, plus a 5th year option. For the next 3 years, Minkah is pretty damn cheap. So, let's look at some of those aspects. So, Minkah was the 11th overall pick. Cool. So, that was already a win right there. You're 7 spots behind where Minkah was picked. That was probably like a target line, the 11th overall pick. So let's take a guy like Derwin James for the LA Chargers. He got picked at number 17. Now here's the thing. He slipped in the draft. He should not have been picked that late. But the Chargers got, Derwin James at number 17. And the Steelers gave the Dolphins number 18. So that's important to look at. I believe Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker for the Cowboys, I think he was picked at 20. 1920 in that area. So, number 18 right there. Leighton Vander Esch is a really good player. Who else? Lamar Jackson was the pick number 32. So there's that. TJ Watt, he was picked number 30. to go to another Steeler. He was pick number 30, and he actually just got first team All-Pro at edge and second team All-Pro at linebacker. This year, both. Same year. So there's that as well. So, you look at some of the picks, and then let's say you take a peek at Jalen Ramsey. He was like the 5th overall pick, right? So, that was a really, really high pick. The Steelers didn't give up that high of a pick, so who knows? I think Laramie Tunsil, he slipped in the draft because that video of him with the gas mask and the marijuana came out, maybe an hour before the draft, half hour before the draft, something like that. And that just caused his stock to take a huge hit, and because no one had time to ask. It was him, and it kind of looked like it was current. He didn't look young, but apparently that was him in high school, not him a few weeks before. So I think he was drafted 13 or something like that. So Steelers gave up the 18th pick. So you're still behind there. Laramie Tunsil obviously got traded from the Dolphins to the Texans this year. Who else? I'm trying to think now. I think William Jackson III. He's a good corner. He's in Cincy. He got picked 24th or something like that. I think he got picked 24th because it was the pick before the Steelers. So he got picked 24th. Steelers gave up 18. So it's a little bit of a give and take on, don't get me wrong, it's all first rounders have the possibility of being really, really, really good. It just depends on the elite of the elite. Nick Bosa was picked 3rd overall. Devin Bush was picked 10th overall when the Steelers traded up. So you get players like that. And Devin Bush had 109 tackles this year. It led all rookies. So you get players like that. But then at pick 30, you get TJ Watt. At pick 32, you get Lamar Jackson. And then you go all the way to 6th round, you get Tom Brady. And Antonio Brown before he goes, completely crazy. So, Russell Wilson, 3rd rounder. You get Dak Prescott, who's a 4th. You get, Lev Bell was a 2nd. Zeke Elliott was the 4th overall pick. So there's different things that go into it. So I would say, but also, there's no guarantee when you draft a guy at 18. Derwin James, as a rookie, was a first-team All-Pro at safety, and he was drafted 17. But when you draft 18, there's no guarantee that guy's going to work out. Ryan Shazier, I think he was the 15th or 16th pick, and I think it was number 15 in the draft. The 15th pick in the draft. And for a while, it didn't look like he was going to do much. And he'd always had little injuries here and there. And then finally he came alive, and I was like, see, that's the Ryan Shazier they drafted. That's why they drafted him. It just took him, people want immediate production. It's production now, or apparently you're a bust. And when something like that happens where it takes a couple years for people to actually click and let it get in and go, people are very impatient. So you have, now you're here, and he obviously suffered that really bad injury versus Cincinnati. But, it's a little iffy on when, if players work out. Because Minkah, he was good, don't get me wrong. But because they played him at so many different positions in Miami, it was tough on him. The Steelers just said, go play that one position. And they just let him run with it. So we obviously don't know who the 18th pick is going to be. Now, Miami can take that pick. They can trade up. They can trade down. They could use it. We don't know what's going to happen with that pick yet. So I may make another video. Hey, the Dolphins did this with the pick. They traded up and got this guy. They traded down and got this guy. They used the pick. So, or it was different things like that. Maybe they traded up, used that pick to trade up with their other pick, not trading up that pick, not going from like 18 to 14. Like, let's say they take their normal pick and use it to trade up a spot or two. And then it's, okay, well, the Steelers wouldn't have been able to do that. Still, who the heck's the number 18 pick? It's something like that where you got to look at it. And then it's like, okay, it was used on this guy. How's his career turn out? Though right now, I would say the Steelers got the better end of the deal. I thought they did when the trade initially happened. I think they do now. Especially since you went from, I don't care about going from 6 to 7. You went from a 5th round to a 4th round. You can still get some talent in there. I think like Tyreek Hill was a 5th. Like I said, Dak was a 4th. And Dak's not a bad quarterback. So you get different things here and there. Like Kirk Cousins, he was a 4th. He's not a bad quarterback. You can get some talent in there still. So we'll see what happens with those as well. The Steelers could take that 4th round pick, and because it's such an early 4th rounder, because Miami did pretty bad this year, it's such an early 4th rounder, it's almost like having a 3rd. It's really there. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they should get a 3rd round comp pick for losing Bell. So to have that, and then a few picks later, you're picking again. You can still get talent there. So that's interesting as well. But as I sit here right now, in front of this camera, in front of this microphone, my screens, everything, I think the Steelers won this trade. Because they got a first team, all-pro, pro bowler, whatever you want. For a while, he was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. So to get that kind of player, it's well worth it. It is. It was well worth the trade. So if you guys enjoyed this, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on. And leave your opinions on who you think won this trade in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next video. Later.
Once I was 7 years old, Mama told me, go make yourself some friends or you'll be lonely. Once I was 7 years old.